So I've been thinking, and this came to me yesterday when I was playing RDR1. And when you get to go back to Blackwater as John Marston, the first place that you want to go is to figure out where he stays at, which is Beecher's Hope. When we get to Beecher's Hope, or before we get to Beecher's Hope, in the story, he talks to Miss McFarlane, and he says he owns a ranch, a farm, for about 4 or 3 years. And those that play the game, she asks him, well, who do you have watching it? Somebody named Uncle. Now, we all know Uncle's not the best person in the world. So, and later on as the game progresses, we want to go to Beecher's Hope. We want to check out John's home. We want to see if we can go inside it. When we get there, it's abandoned, it's boarded up, there's dead animal carcasses everywhere, and it's completely and utterly empty. It's destroyed. Which brings the question to this theory. Are the characters throughout Red Dead Revolver, RDR1 and RDR2, are they in purgatory? Are they in purgatory? Now, I'm going to explain a little bit at a time, slowly, so it can make sense and not be all over the place, so we can all tie in. In Red Dead Revolver for the PS2, we start out playing as Red Harlow. Red Harlow's home with his parents, they get invaded, his parents get slaughtered. Throughout it, we have to take down these people as Red Harlow as a kid in the beginning. When we see him years later, he's now an adult. I think definitely looks like he's in his mid-20s. He already has a name as a gunslinger. He has a messed up hand. His face, yes, gives an appearance as an adult, but as it goes through, it looks like you see it changing more and more as a demonic being. As you progress throughout the game without the enemies you go through, a lot of their faces look like spawns, like satanic spawns, if you will. Which brings me to the levels of the game get worse and worse, because I believe they're representing the layers of hell. Now, I don't have the fancy editing and the voiceovers to be showing exactly what I'm saying. I don't know how to do that stuff, but I want to try to paint a picture with words so the guys or people that see this can get an understanding. So as we progress, he got damned to hell as a child because I don't believe he made it through that shootout, because he took life at an early age. Thou shalt not kill. With that, he's trying to fight his way out of hell. But as he's progressing, he meets good people who don't need to be in hell with the characters he meets. Which then, I believe, somewhere off screen, he land a deal with death or the devil, saying, hey, before all this happened, there's a guy that killed my parents. I want revenge. Well, the guy that killed his parents is in hell, running a muckery, right? Especially throughout the world of purgatory. Those that don't know what purgatory is, You're not so much in the land of the dead. You're not so much in the world of the living. You're in between heaven and hell as well. That's the best way I can describe what purgatory is. And I'll go on a bit more as we progress throughout this theory. So he makes a deal. So eventually he kills the soul, the spirit of the guy that put him down there and that killed his parents, to erase him for a trade to make sure that others can get a passageway into heaven. And as Red Harlow walks away, that's him knowing he has to start his new job as doing the bidding of Satan down in hell to punish others. When we get to RDR 1, going back to what I said, I'm seeing Beecher's Hope. It looks utterly empty, completely abandoned, boarded up, like the estate got a hold of it, right? I believe John in RDR 2 didn't make it off that mountain like we thought. I believe he died on his deathbed in the cold on the mountain due to his injuries. Because of this, his soul is stuck in the part of purgatory where it feels like hell, where you're being ripped apart. And you're trying to break free. That's another part of purgatory, If you see more things happening to you, because first you're going to get ripped apart with your soul, so to speak. You're going to go through a spiritual afterlife torture. Explaining purgatory is not the easiest thing, but you're going to go through that, and we see what John went through. So by the time the epilogue comes, he's in the better part of purgatory until he eventually meets up with Sadie Adler, right? I believe that Micah died. I believe that Micah is running around in purgatory causing ruckus. So for John to get a clear passage into heaven, he has to help one of the archangels, which I believe Sadie Adler is one of the archangels, and one of the other archangels is also Charles, because Charles is along the way as well. So when they get to the coldest part of the premisphere of purgatory in the end, they meet Micah, they kill Micah. Eventually, we do see Dutch, and I'll get to where Dutch may fit into this, or how he will fit into this, why we see him in purgatory. Why Dutch looks the way he does. I believe Dutch may have gotten killed and the trolley incident, which explains why he's not seeing or thinking things clearly, because he doesn't know that he's dead. So he is also trapped in purgatory, and he's trying to make sense of all this throughout his actions. So by the time we see him and the end of the epilogue in RDR 2, he knows that he's in purgatory. He knows that eventually his time will come where he finally gets his final judgment to see if he goes to heaven or hell. So we all know how Dutch dies in RDR 1. He jumps off a cliff. Pretty much commits suicide. Now, suicide is a sin. He knows he has a lot of things that he's done in the past, and even him being in purgatory, erasing the existence of others. So when he dies, he got damned to hell. As we go back to ChEDDER2, and I want to save John a little bit for last. As we go throughout ChEDDER2, of course we play as Arthur Morgan. Throughout the game, Arthur Morgan, was never really a bad guy in his past. He always tried to stay humble and true to himself, and of course, depending on how you play as the character through till the end of his death, either if you get low honors or high honors, and they make it difficult to get high honors because they want you to get that feeling of survival back in those days the best they could. And if you get low honors when it rains like it does, one of the representations of hell, if it keeps raining for you, if you're a bad spiritual person stuck in purgatory, it means you're going to go to hell. But if it doesn't, you're going to go to heaven. So if you play as Morgan, and if you get low honors, and if it keeps raining and storming throughout the story, yes, he will get damned to hell. As you keep playing throughout the game as Arthur Morgan, you're going to eventually get high honors, and it'll be sunny, and you'll see a deer. Now, the deer and the wolf represent the light, the dark of spiritual calling within a spiritual animal. The wolf is mainly painted towards native beliefs. The deer is painted toward Western beliefs. Now, the deer is painted more towards as a symbol of hope, rebirth, a clear conscience within a good soul. The black wolf in these things, of course, is a representation of your time coming to an end with death, with you being a bad person in life. If you see a white wolf, it means you've been a good person within your tribe. So, where did Arthur die? How did Arthur die? I strongly, personally believe Arthur died when he got captured by Como Driscoll. And we wake up in a swampy area in purgatory. So, again, as we progress with Arthur, depending on what you get, high or low honors, represents him either going to heaven or hell. And I believe a lot of people wanted to be with high honors with him. And I do believe if they didn't have the high or low honor in the game, I think it still would have ended with him getting, dying, seeing the sunrise in the east, and eventually to heaven. So in this theory, I want to take away the high honors thing, because I want to go with what originally would have happened anyways with him. Yes, passing into heaven when he saw the sunrise, because with him, I think when he saw that, like, the sun is setting, it looks great. That's just the light at the tunnel from God and Jesus saying, time for you to come home. Be reunited with your son and your wife. Then, once that's over with, we get, John Marston again. So, picking up where I was, John, after, taking out Micah, soul, erasing him from existence, he doesn't know again that he's in purgatory. You're there at Beecher's Hope. It's nice. You're doing work. You want to explore the rest of the world, and you want to try to do good deeds as John. By the time ChEDDER 1 comes around, which is really considered part 2, yes, they have the high and low honors. They even have high fame and low fame. But because it's pretty much set for the character to get high fame and high honors, right? Again, we're removing that, but it's pretty much set for the character to get high everything. So as we play throughout part 1, John's family gets took. He knows why, or at least that's what he's told, but I believe that, okay, if you want to see your family and your son again by watching over them, we have some people running amok from your past here that you need to take care of. Now, I believe John was sent as death and the land of the living to hunt down Bill and Javier. And before they're dying, the last person they see is John. That's why they always say his name. And John eventually, takes their life, gives them to the agents who are supposed to be, I believe in this theory, representations of little minions of hell taking their bad souls to hell to be punished. Throughout the game, it rains a lot for John. I mean, it rains a lot, and it stays dark a long time because he has so many things that he didn't answer for. But going back, how do you explain Beecher's Hope? I believe John built and purchased Beecher's Hope when he left for a year to have something to leave for Jack and Abigail, so they have a place to go. And he just left it not knowing if he'll ever come back. That's why it was always boarded up. So that's why in the epilogue mission, he says to his son, giving Jack, I believe, a message beyond the land of the dead, is saying, hey, I purchased this place for you and your mother before my death. I believe I know where I'm at. And for them to stay there. So, with that part, right there just being said, going back to the beginning, when we go to Beecher's Hope, it's abandoned because Abigail and Jack haven't found it yet. And they're on a search for it. So by the time we get to Dutch, Dutch is so lost and angry because he got damned to hell that John has to erase Dutch, which explains the ending for John, because John got brutally killed, which means in the end he did get damned to hell. He didn't make it to heaven. Going throughout this, when we get to play as Jack, I believe in order for his father to get clearance into heaven, I believe Jack, when he got older, after burying his mother, uncle, and then making a grave for his father, after finding Beecher's Hope and trying to rebuild it and keep it up, I believe he ran into the strange man who was the angel of representations of death, which is pretty much telling John and throughout his story in RDR1, like, look, you're in purgatory, man. If you don't clear something or do something now, you're going to go to hell. And I believe I believe Jack made a deal with the strange man who was the angel of death, saying, look, if I bring you the guy that caused the death of all these people in this gang who caused majority of them to go to hell, in exchange for my father's passageway into heaven, will you take it? Because Edgar Ross has the smell of sin and death on him, doing the devil's work. And once Jack kills Edgar Ross, I believe, in exchange for Edgar Ross's soul to go to hell, John was able to get a passage into heaven. So I think throughout majority of Red Dead Revolver, RDR1 and RDR2, I believe what we're seeing is these characters in the land of hell and purgatory, and trying to get passage to heaven. That's my Red Dead Redemption, theory. And if you guys go and play these games and really pay attention to a lot of these symbolic symbolisms, I think it's clearly there, and that people may see that. But it depends on what your religion, what your belief is in. Either way, I tried to make this theory not all over the place, and I believe I did a good job of it. So with that being said, I'm out.